Welcome back, everybody. We are back again to work on the engine. Progress has been slow, but hopefully we can get more done this week. So we left you guys off last week on this side. And we were missing the gasket for the oil filter bracket or oil filter housing. I searched everywhere on Google to find that gasket. I went to all the auto parts stores. No one could find me that gasket. So after about an hour of searching on Google, I finally came across a parts breakdown for this section, and just by chance came across the gasket number. And we went to Nissan, we ordered it. It's coming from Calgary, so that will be here on Tuesday. So once that's there, we can put this whole side back together. But for today, we have to put this bracket back on. That's that one there. If we get the bracket back on, we can lift the engine up, pull the dampener off, change the timing belt, and get the whole front end put back together. In the top valley here, we can clean this up a little bit more, put the new gaskets in, put the Plenum on there. I don't know where it is. And then the engine can actually go into the car before we put all the other garbage on, because a lot of the hoses are still sitting in here. Can we focus? Focus. The lighting's terrible. There we go. There's better lighting. So we have a whole mess of hoses here. Power steering is over here. We got to change that engine mount. That's coming from Napa tomorrow because it broke off. It was already pretty destroyed. We got to get those O2 sensors out because there's spots on the new manifolds. Ooh, that's a shitty spot for it. It's like points right at here. We might be able to get it on there, hopefully. Those gotta get cut back, and then when we get to an exhaust shop, they can fix that up for us. Yeah, a lot of work you'll have to do. I bought some engine degreaser. Hopefully we can clean this bay up. Engine bay up a little bit. I'd like to simplify. I'd really like to simplify all the hoses. This pipe here. So this piece here is the intake, and it's got hoses running in every single direction. I think some of them are pretty redundant. They go back into each other. I don't know if we can simplify any of that up, but I'd really like to try, because it looks like a rat's nest when it's in the engine. But we got some cool parts to try to resolve that issue and make the engine look a little bit nicer. We have bought these. Can you see them? Lighting's terrible. Look at those. These are Off-Road Gorilla coolant kit, and we have an entire box of them. That will help spruce up the engine and make it look a little less cluttered, I hope, rather than just black lines running in every single direction. Yeah, so let's dive right into it. Let's attack this front cover. Okay, so we got the engine somewhat rigged up here, just so it's off that front jack stand, and then we can pull the dampener off so that we can access that flywheel. Let's move these spark plug. You know what? Let's just get rid of all these spark plug wires because, well, they're not needed right now, and they're in the way. Okay, so we're going to start by removing this front dampener. Right here, it has one big bolt in the center. It's a 27 millimeter. I'm really hoping my snap-on 1/2 inch cordless will pull that off. because if that doesn't pull off with this, then we need to run air from somewhere, probably air lines from the house all the way down to the shop, just to run my 1/2 inch impact. So let's really hope this works. Let's see. Hey, there she goes. She's out. Big old bolt. We're gonna hang on to that because we'll need it again. Now to get this off, it is somewhat pressed on there, but I think I got it off with pry bars last time. Looks like it's built, it's got 2 nuts there for a T-bar puller, but I don't have a T-bar puller. Huh. Perfect. We are in luck. We found ourselves, this is actually a puller specifically designed for this job. So the way this works, you've got a puller here, you've got spots to put different bolts, whether it's a 3 or it's 2. The last thing we have to do is find some bolts that'll fit. I was smart enough to catalog all the bolts off the old engine. Now I just gotta find some that will fit. Those are not it. This might be it. The only thing we need now is these bolts are so small that they need a washer, or else they'll slip through there as we start to pull. So we'll position this over here. So I got a couple bolts in there. Hopefully they're in deep enough to hold, just enough to pull this thing off. So we're just going to tighten this thing now. And I can already see the gap behind here getting bigger, so that's a good sign. Bam, that's off. There we go. So we'll pull our bolts back out of there. There we go. Lower half of the timing cover is on. Now we just got to figure out how to time this. The timing belt is very, very important and very crucial to the engine, because it takes the crank, which has all the pistons, and the cams. Someone's racing along there in their Jetta. The timing belt transfers the crank movement to the camshafts that operate your valves. If your intake is opening at the wrong time, it's not going to do anything. If your exhaust opens at the wrong time, it's not going to do anything. This camshaft also operates a gear to operate your spark plugs on your distributor. The timing is going to be going off a little bit as this wears, stretches with age. It's just rubber, so as it stretches, your timing all goes out of whack slightly, and your engine doesn't run as efficiently and with as much power as it should be. Also, if this ever snaps on you, this is an interference engine, which means if the valves are all the way down and the pistons all the way up, they will hit, which is not good. You'll bend a rod or you'll bend a valve, and you'll cause some very serious damage to your engine, which will result in a full engine rebuild. So that is why this is a very crucial component. Some cars use timing chain, which is very unlikely to break. Some are just gear, mechanical gear driven, which is even better. But with this belt, they recommend you change it every 100,000 kilometers. Obviously, if you get oil leaks into here, that's going to cause it to deteriorate. If you have coolant leaks in here, that might deteriorate it. Now, it's a good thing to find yourself a repair manual of some sort so you know the proper procedure for timing this. Maybe it's out of tooth already. Let's just time it properly. Okay, so we have to rotate the engine ever so slightly. There's a mark on here, here, and down here that need to line up to make sure that it's in the right spot. Okay, so you can see here, there are notches, and they say it's the leftmost when you're facing, so that's that one. It's supposed to line up with here. Now, of course, this should be further on, but I've already pulled it off. That lines up there, and then on the cam we have an indent here, and we have a dot right there. So those two need to line up, and these two need to line up. Now it's slightly off, likely just because it's a little bit loose. There's a little bit of play there. So we'll just have to turn those by hand afterwards. Okay. We just slide that down so it's loose, and then just slide this thing off. There we go. Fairly weathered, so that is now garbage. We clean it up with some brake clean. Remove any oil or stuff that might have been on it. You've got a spring. The spring goes over top of the stud, just like so. We're gonna have this nut almost tight. I'm gonna grab a ratchet, make sure it's tightening, and with this Allen wrench, it's a 5mm. You're gonna stick it in the hole here and turn that sucker all the way around so she's as loose as possible. She's right at the bottom, and you're just going to tighten that nut up just like so. By tightening the nut up, now the tensioner is not going to move. That's the loosest setting. That way we can install the belt and then afterwards get it on. So I got the book all dirty. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to start down here at the crank pulley. We're going to come up to this one, making sure there's no slack. Go over to this one, no slack. And then down here, because the slack's going to be right here and it's going to get compensated with the tensioner. So make sure these are just lined up properly, because this one was slightly off. That right around there. Well, it looks like this one is one tooth off, but I'm not sure, so I got to do a little bit of research and figure out if it's actually an issue. Okay guys, so when I'm looking at this, we've got a dot on the camshaft here and here, dot on the back of the timing cover back here and here, and I have a dot on the crankshaft pulley down here. Now, when you buy a new belt, it probably doesn't have these markings unless you're buying an OEM belt, but an aftermarket belt is going to be a little different. On your OEM belt, your original one, if it's never been changed before, it usually has markings on the belt where the old dot used to be. Now, they can be a little bit hard to see, so I've gone back over them and I've painted them with a paint pen slightly. This is the old belt, so we don't care about it. The new belt, we don't want to put paint pens on it just to make sure it's not deteriorating the belt at all with that oily paint. So on the old one, we've made sure that it's proper, it's marked up the way that it was from factory. There was very faint lines here. So I got 1, 2, 3, and I've stretched the belt over. I got the old new one on, and I've stretched it over to the same bit here. And, oh, if I get the right spot, you should be on the dot here and on the dot on the other side, stretched to the same bit as you are right now, and they should line up perfectly, which they do. And you can measure it down to here as well, which means we are bang on. We are exactly where we should be for timing. So the last thing we got to do is set the belt tension. One thing I got wrong before, this has a spring on the back of the tensioner which helps try to pull the tensioner tight, but the spring is not what's keeping this tight. It's just there to help you. You use a Allen key in here to turn it, and then you tighten down this bolt, or this nut rather, and that's what keeps it tensioned properly all the time. So that's important to know. That's why most kits don't come with a new spring on the back, because the spring is not really important. It's not doing the work. When this is a proper tightness, you should be able to push down and get about 1/2 inch of movement. So just got this bar here. Yeah, that's about 1/2 inch. So I think that's pretty well it. So let's just tighten this nut up to torque, and then we should be set. So there we go, we got the timing belt cover back on. That's all together. This is looking pretty good. So it's a good accomplishment for today. My camera has decided it's acting up today, so this is being shot on my iPhone 7 Plus. But yeah, she's looking pretty good. Next thing we gotta do is put some of the inside together, put the other side on, and then pop her into there. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and please share it around if you like what you see. You know, we did a tutorial on how to do the timing belt on this engine. This is a VG33. So hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.